Hello guys, hello. Um, and it will be like a little intro that I will do a series of videos about like different type of mythologies, right? And their metaphysical, allegorical representation, how you can also see it in today's life and shit like that, right? I'll not go into like historical part and shit like that because you can read it by yourself in like Wikipedia or something, right? But I'll go more on the how you can see representations of that mythology in the life that me and you are living in, right? It's like that, yeah. But so that's the little intro into the series. But now I will talk about the series of Norse mythology, right? Norse mythology. Yeah. So to be honest, like you can also see it like in Wikipedia and shit like that. Norse mythology has like a big ass influence on the different type of um, literature and other structures that you can see in today's world and shit like that, right? So for example, even the Lord of the Rings, Tolkien, the one who wrote Lord of the Rings, he took a lot of things from Norse mythology, right? Too. And it's not the only way. I mean, like, because Vikings were going over into different lands and shit like that, right? And you can see it even like in the East Europe and shit like that. Also representations of the same gods, but just like of them having different names, but they all have the same representation, and even sometimes the names are similar to that, right? And you also have it maybe in USA and shit like that, because you also had Vikings going over there and shit like that, in Christianity too and shit like that, and so on and so on and so on. Yeah, but today I will talk about Norse mythology, in particularly about the world tree and the three creatures that participate in that tree. Not within, because you have the world tree, which name is Yggrassil, right? The name of that tree is Yggrassil, and it has on its branches it has different type of worlds that reside inside of it. So it has 9 worlds, right? In which different creatures, different gods are inhabiting in and living in. So for example, even the gods like Thor, Odin, like that, they are not without that tree, but they are within that tree, right? And you have 9 worlds, right? So you have worlds that are hella icy and cold and shit like that, full of giants. Then you have a world which inhabits like dwarves and shit like that. So it's the world of the dwarves and shit. They have their smith factories there and shit like that. Then you have Midgard, which is the world where the people live in, right? Normal people. And then you have like Asgard, which is like the world where the gods live in. So you have, for example, Thor, Loki, Odin, Freya, and all the other gods from Scandinavian mythology living in Asgard and shit like that, right? So you have different, and I named only 4 worlds, but you also have 5 other worlds that also reside, that also are part of the Yggrassil tree, right? So it's like different worlds are hanging on the branches of the world tree and shit like that, right? So and about the 3 creatures that reside in that world tree, not inside of it, but they. So young crystal tree, we can see it as a. I will also put the pictures of different shade, right? So the world tree would be like a background, like a facade, like a foundation in which you'll have different worlds hanging right from, and shit like that. And the same way, so you have different myths happening here and there in different worlds, but the Agrisal tree is like the surface, it's like the foundation, it's like the building itself that inhabits all these different flats and all these different stories that happen in those flats, involving like people and different other shit. But the building itself doesn't take part, right? Everything inside of it makes myths, but But the tree itself is like a facade that in holds that has it all this different shit on it, right? And these three little creatures, which I'll name, also the same way as the Yggrassil tree, are a part of the facade, a part of the structure, a part of the foundation. They are not in those different worlds, and like Thor is, Odin is, right? So it's like they are from the same myth, but they're like on different levels of the shit, right? So the three creatures that I mentioned, and who are they? Ooh, who? Let's start from the first one. At the top of the Yggdrasil tree, you have a eagle who sits at the top of that tree. And that eagle, he's the overseer of everything that happens. He sits on the top of that tree and he sees all the different stuff happening in the world tree. But he himself is on the top of it and he doesn't participate in all that bullshit, right? He just sits there, he's the overseer. He just sits there on the top of the tree and he like like you can be on the top of the mountain like allegorically speaking, and you just like on top of that, right? You just like looking from above down and shit like that, but you don't participate in it. Then you have the second creature would be, excuse me, the second creature would be Nidhogg or something like that. I hope this is the real name. Nidhogg. That's the like I think that's the corpse eater or something like that, right? He lives at the bottom of the tree. He lives in those roots where the roots are, and he is low-key like a menace to the tree due to the fact that he destroys those different roots. I don't know specifically how, but he's there and he destroys it. He's like, maybe he eats a part of one shit, he eats a part of other shit. He just like lives in that ground, makes space for him, digs the ground and shit like that, and the roots are coming out and blah blah blah. Now the roots are like cut apart and shit like that. Now the tree will be falling apart and shit like that, right? So that's like the second creature, and then you have the third creature, who is Ratatorsk. It's a squirrel that jumps from a branch on a branch and sees all this and catches all the different gossips from different worlds. It jumps from one branch to another branch, and she goes all around, collecting all the different myths, all the different gossips that she sees when she jumps on different branches, the branches where you have the different worlds hanging from. So this little squirrel, she runs around and shit like that, but all the gossip that she collects, she then runs between the eagle who sits at the top of the mountain and the corpse eater who lays, I don't know, who lives at the bottom of the tree. No, not on the top of a mountain, on the top of a tree. And corpse eater, or like Nidhogg, who resides in the bottom of the tree. And this little squirrel, she gets all these messages, all these gossips, and she runs around and shit like that. And she goes up there, she tells some gossips there. She goes down, she tells some gossips like down there. But not always she tells the gossips as they are, not always she spills the real tea. Sometimes because it's a scroll, she has fun doing the stuff that she does. So she may go up there, she may say some bullshit. She may go down there, she may say some bullshit too, right? It's not always that she says some real shit. And she's the one also, this scroll is the one who makes the beef between the upper one and the eagle sitting at the top, and like the worm. Let's call that motherfucker the worm. And she goes down. She makes the beef between like the eagle and the worm and shit like that, because not always because some gossips are true, some gossips are not true. But even like the pillow talking, the sneak dissing and shit like that, running here and there, makes the guy on the top and the guy in the bottom irritated about each other and shit like that, right? So that was like a little summary of what we are going to talk about in this video. And the series, why I'm even doing this video, is for us to see these examples of Norse mythology in real life, right? How that allegory, how that myth can be seen in the lens of the physical world, maybe even spiritual, mental, emotional world that we are living in and every day is being witnessed by our eye. So yeah, so when I was reading this book, I actually got the representation that the tree is us. The tree is us, right? The tree is us, and we have different roles that are within us. As you can also maybe have seen the video, or you can see that in the video about like, or I will do a video about that. That you depending on the space that you fly in, those kind of thoughts you will get out. So it's, I think the video is about like making swords from the vibe and shit like that. But basically, what I would say that depending on the role that you fly in internally, those type of kind of myths, stories you'll get out from it, right? So for example, if you're in depressive state or in the depressive space of your let's say different worlds, like you have that depressive world, right? Then you have that optimistic world, then you have that sexual world, then you have that, I don't know, motivational world, then you have that fate-like world, then you have all these different worlds that are within you and they're just hanging out there, but they're not actually hanging, even though they do actually hang, but it's like more kind of internally vibey speaking, shit like that, right? That is like when you close your eyes you can okay see it, right? You cannot see it like that, just hanging on you like a girl's tits or something, right? But yeah, and so you have all these different roles within you, and let's say, as I said before, depending depending on the role that you are in, those kind of myths you will get out, right? So for example, if you would be in the destructive, if you would be in the depressive role, then you would get like depressive thoughts from it, right? You'll be like, you're depressed, right? You're hell depressed, and you're like, yeah, this life is not fun, blah blah blah, nobody likes me, blah blah blah, I don't have a girlfriend, blah blah blah, I don't have this and that and third, blah blah blah, and shit like that, right? So those, I don't have this, that, and third is like low-key myths that you get from that type of world, right? So you have different things like being initiated there, and all the thoughts that are coming out, those are like stories that you get, because like that even depressive state is like something shapeless and formless, right? It's like the vibe, it's the vibe, and you don't have the physical representation of it until you put it in a structured way for you to receive it. And thoughts, how I see it, is one of the ways, one of the practical physical ways how you get the directions where you are internally swimming in, right? So for example, it's like your GPS. So depending on the thoughts that you get, you can get the space that you're flying in, right? So for example, when you're hella optimistic and shit like that, you get positive thoughts and shit. When you're in a positive zone, you're like, oh, you're getting positive thoughts and shit like that. But if you like retract back, you will understand that you're also in a positive space and shit like that, right? So the positive space low-key triggers those different thoughts to come out, right? And it goes beyond positive, it goes in different many aspects. So for example, like sexual way, also you can be getting all only sexual thoughts and shit like that, even the stuff that you see and you didn't see it before in a sexual way, now you're getting it, now even that representation, that reflection that you represent as a thought, you see it in a sexual way, right? For example, before you saw a banana, just like when you're hungry, let's say you're hungry, right? You see a banana as a food and you're like, oh yeah, food. But then when you're in your sexual states, in your sexual world space, you see the banana as like some dick or something, right? Because you're in that sexual space and you're getting all those sexual representations, which are like the physical things that come out from the shapeless and formless. So basically those are a shape that is derived from shapeless and formless vibe and shit like that, right? So yeah, you have those different roles, And even there's like this like little concept of chakras. I don't know how deep you are into all these things, but for example, for some of you maybe it will sound a little bit like off, because you may also have different representations on Instagram, YouTube, where people talk about chakras, but they're talking it about it in a very spooky, in a very like way, like not even, it's not even possible for it to be real type shit like that. But to be honest, I would say it's real, because depending on you have like different chakras, right? You have different chakras, and those chakras are located like a lens of a space that you, when you swim in those kind of representations, you get. So for example, let's say you have different chakras, right? And you are seeing the same image but from a different lens. You can also try it to do on your own. So for example, let's take a representation that you have a girl, right? And you have different chakras that you are looking at this girl from, like different lenses. You have different lenses, and you like each time you're going into a different chakra, you're putting up a different lens for you to see what you see from this lens, right? But you will see different stuff depending on the lens that you're looking through. So for example, if you will go in your root chakras are like sexual chakra and shit like that. You will look at this girl like in a sexual way, like, oh damn, I would smash. If you would look at her from the lens of heart chakra, which is like heart chakra, right, like loving and shit like that, you will see her like in a loving way. You'll be like, oh damn, she's cute. Oh damn, like you'll feel even warm, right? So for example, like when you look at the puppy or like a little kitty, you'll be like, this is like, that's the loving chakra. It's like that. Then you have different chakras. You also have like the solar plexus chakra, which is like your ego and shit like that. You can look at that girl from your ego side, like, oh, I'm better than her. Oh damn, I'm better than her, and or shit like that. And then you also have like a crown chakra, which like not governs, but represents maybe your intellect and shit like that. So you can look at that specific girl through a lens of intellect, and you can be like, oh yeah, the way she put her outfit together, the way she has her makeup matching her gloves, and her shoes are matching her chains and shit like that. It's put in a very smart way, and you can be like, oh yeah, okay, she's actually smart with her shit and shit like that, right? So you can look at the same image from different type of representations. So that's basically chakras. And the same shit, so going back to the world tree, and basically different worlds in the Norse mythology are basically different different worlds are basically like different chakras, right? And you have different myths happening in different worlds, depending on the world and its environment and its inhabitants and shit like that. So for example, in the icy world, you will have snow and shit like that, giants, blah blah blah, and you also have that shit within of you. I'm not gonna go deep into that. You can also maybe by yourself try to figure out and shit like that. Then you have Midgard for like where the people live at, right? Not some mortal beings. Then you have Asgard where the gods live at and shit like that. So basically you have like different, but to some degree you cannot also compare that to that, because there it was made more for like content purpose, right? For like how you call that? Like you have TV shows, films, and shit like that for entertainment, right? So it was there. It was also made like for you, maybe not also to learn, but more in an interactive way, due to the fact that you didn't have TVs and TV series and like films and shit like that back then, right? You only had theater, war, I don't know what else, some basic stuff that you maybe do in the farm, right? So you didn't have like technologies for you to be entertained. So that was like one of the ways for you to be entertained by, right? To have different myths, and that's why to some degree, some physical stuff that you have is hella put in a hella poetic way, due to the fact that you also have to entertain your people with that shit, right? You can say like, oh yeah, this is this, but it's like everybody put it like in a more poetic way, so it will be interesting to read it, right? And shit like that, yeah. So yeah, so you are the world tree, and then you have different worlds within you, different lenses, different chakras that you may jump in and make your own myths depending on how long you are there and how long you interact with that world and shit like that, right? So if you interact with the depressive world long enough, you'll have a long story of those myths, right? So you'll be like, oh, I remember back then I had a image of me or like a thought of me saying fuck everybody. Then after some time I had the thoughts of like let me jump from a window. Then I had thoughts like yeah fuck everybody again, right? So it's like depending on how long you participate in it, the longer the more stories you will have, the more myths you will have. Yeah, so that's the tree and the roles. Now we are gonna talk about like the three different creatures. Maybe you already kind of peeped the game and shit like that. So basically, how you also can do it, how maybe it must be done, it must be explained in a vibey way. It must be explained. The image, you don't have to look at the image and compare a image with the image. You have to compare the qualities, the features, the characteristics, the character of the image with different characters, right? And you'll be like, okay, let's say this is blah 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 blah, and here and you describe another image that are not even same, that are you cannot put similarity between them, and you'll describe this another image also like in the same way that you describe this one, like blah 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 blah, and you're like, oh, they do have similar characteristics, right? So you can, so it's a good idea to describe shit like that, right? So going back to the three creatures, so you have a eagle sitting at the top who oversees everything. Then you have a demon, not a demon. Okay, spoiler alert. Then you have a worm that's at the bottom of it that destroys shit. And then you have a scroll running around and sending gossips everywhere and shit like that, right? So let's start with the eagle. So as I said before, the eagle is the overseer. Is the one who sees everything, gets the info, but he doesn't participate in it. He just oversees it. He's like, oh yeah, this was done, this was done, this was done. And when talking about you, you also have that eagle on top of you, and that would be your higher self. That would be I don't know how what you know about what do you know about higher self, but your higher self is located the one who doesn't care about your participation. It's like it's you, it's not somebody else somewhere there, right? It's you, but it's you who doesn't care about the physical, emotional representations and the experiences and shit like that, right? So for example, let's say you are addicted to smoking and you want to smoke so much, but the guy on the top, the higher self, he doesn't give a fuck about that. He's like, oh yeah. And you're like, let's say you are on a break for smoking, and then at one point you're like, you relapsed, and then you smoked, and you're like, yeah, okay, what I did, and the overseer, he'll be like, oh yeah. So that boy, he cannot control his that boy, you see, like that boy, it's like it's like you talking to you. That boy cannot hold his desires. He cannot control his desires and shit like that, right? So okay, that's you, but you over you. It's like it's not even your mind, because it's like your mind are controlling your physical matters, right? So for example, you can be like in your mind, oh, let me take this pen, and you took this pen, you took this marker. But even you getting those ideas is not your higher self. Higher self would be the one like, oh yeah, I say to myself to take the marker, and I took the marker. That would be your higher self, the one who is at the top and oversees everything, oversees all the action, doesn't get lost in thoughts, doesn't get lost in feelings, doesn't get lost in images. It's like that. He's the one who kind of like a narrator of your story, right? And your story are all these myths that pop up in your, not only you doing shit physically, but you also doing it mentally and emotionally, right? So that would be your overseer, that would be your higher self. And the worm at the bottom of the tree, a destructive worm at the bottom of the tree, would be the polar opposition to the eagle sitting at the top, and that would be your, the one who actually participates into shit, the one who, not overseer but the doer, the one who desires shit. He's like, oh, I want to take a marker. He's the one who initiated, I want to take a marker, right? The overseer just sees you taking the marker and shit like that. He's like, oh yeah, he took the marker. But this one, he's the one who whispers in your ear and tells you like, bro, go smoke the cigarette, go smoke the cigarette. I know that you are on like a break or something, but bro, you want the cigarette so much and shit like that, right? Go take the cigarette, and shit like that. But it's a destructive way, because if you give your attention, when you give your power, when you give your will to this worm, sometimes he may help, but he can also destroy, right? I wanted to say overdoing because, like, okay, destruction comes from overdoing, right? So you have like a cycle, you go up, 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 up. Now you're on the top of that shit, but at some point you also have to go down, and that's when you go from like the positive vibe, which was going up, positive, positive, positive. Now you hit the peak. There's no way to go more, let's say, positive. Now you only can drown down and shit like that, right? Now you only can go down, and that goes back to like the 4 seasons, which I have a video on too. And yeah, so that worm at the bottom of it, he's the one who destroys shit and shit like that. So he may be the one too who will push you to do shit. He will push you to go get that pack of cigarette. He will push you to go get that money for that pack of cigarette. He'll push you, but if you'll give him too much control, he will destroy them. Then you will get lost into your, oh shit, I don't have money, oh shit, I don't have this, oh shit, I will not smoke a cigarette today, I will not survive till tomorrow, and shit like that, you see? So yeah, so that's not the one who oversees, it doesn't participate into shit as the eagle does. This is the one who actually participates into shit and is being closed into all this shit. He's not overseer who looks at it from the side, but he's the one who sees it from within, and he's like, yeah, like, you know, and he gets lost into it all. Or you're the one who gets lost into it because of him and shit like that. And look, that representation you can also see in like different images too, where for example you have an eagle and a worm on your shoulders, or an angel and a devil on your shoulders, right? So those would be like, you have the one who tells you like, bro, okay, example with the cigarette. You have a demon telling you like, bro, smoke the cigarette, bro, smoke the cigarette, it will be nothing, it's like only one time, why you have to be like a bitch or something like that. And the angel will tell you like, bro, you don't need that cigarette. You can go, if you went like 3 days without a cigarette, you will go the 4th day. Okay, it may be hard for you because it's the 4th day or something, but you have to go over it that 4th day, and the 5th day will be the easiest day for you to smoke, and you'll forget about smoking this shit, right? So that's the eagle, that's the worm. Oh, that's the eagle, that's the angel and shit like that. And the other one, the devil, the worm, is the one who pushes you and shit like that, right? Who gives you desire, who makes you desire, who makes you have that will, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, and shit like that. And the third creature, the Ratatorsk, the scroll that runs around against gossips and shit like that, how I saw that animal, that creature, for me it represents that representation. How I see it in the way that is the one who actually brings you thoughts in your head, right? So you have different worlds happening, and you need some type of representation what happens there, because you don't know shit. I mean, like, as I said before, you need some physical you need some shape that forms shapeless and formless. Only when you understand the vibe, you may get in which world you are, but into some way you need a physical, not a physical, but like a shape, form, representation of where you are. And as I said before, those are like thoughts depending on the space that you are flying in, right? So if you're in depressive space, which is shapeless and formless, just a depressive vibrations all around, right? And you're like swimming there like a boat, it's like that. But you will know that you're in depressive state due to the thoughts that you're getting. You'll be like, oh yeah, I'm kind of depressive now, you know, because I'm getting depressive thoughts and shit like that. And look, at those depressive thoughts are a shape, are a gossips that you get from this little scroll. And this, and here you can peep the way where the something that you can see in real life is being put in a very descriptive, very poetic, very like way. So see here, I told you that you just have thoughts coming up to you depending on the space which you are flying in. And in the book of Norse mythology, or like not in the book of Norse mythology, but like in the Norse myths, you had the squirrel getting messages and gossips and just running up and down from the bottom to the top and telling all those gossips to the eagle or the worm and shit like that, right? So yeah, so those are basically like your thoughts, the way you get information within you, depending on where you are flying in as a spaceship, I don't know, as a boat or something like that, right? So yeah, so we all have those thingies. And it's not like I'm telling you that you should abandon one creature for you to and only invest into one. You know, you would be like, okay, let me only invest into the eagle who sits at the top, the overseer, the higher self, who doesn't give a fuck about shit, and I'll be good, right? But Loki, you are not gonna be good, because you always have to have equilibrium. You always have to have balance between one and the second one, because to some degree, if you will abandon the worm, you'll not have the desire, you know, because we still live in the physical world, right? Like for example, okay, you'll not have a need to do something. You'll just sit there on your couch and you'll be like, yeah, I don't need shit, I don't need shit, but you still need to eat though. And you'll be like, I don't need shit, I don't need shit. I'll just abandon the whole world. I'll close my eyes, I'll close my ears, I'll close my nose, I'll close all my senses. So I'll not be able to I'll not be able to participate in the world. I'll be the higher self, I'll be like the angel, blah blah blah. But low-key, we are living in a world where you have to have the balance of both, because even you trying to disconnect from the world, that was initiated by your desire, that like it was based on the desire of you, let's saying, getting first you got disappointed, and you're like, bro, I got disappointed, fuck the world and shit like that. So that's even the desire itself. That's the worm who pushed you to end up sitting there with all your senses being closed off and shit like that, right? Trying to be like your higher self and shit like that. Yeah, and so that's where you cannot cut one off and just play with another, and you cannot cut the other off and just play with the another, because to some degree, if you'll go too much into the eagle point, you will lose yourself, because I mean, like, it will even end up in the way that you will die, because you need food to some degree, you need air to some degree, you need like, you'll be hella lonely and you will just die from depression or something like that, right? Or you will just suicide. And even you like being like taking the knife out and killing yourself is also like your desire, your will to stand up and get that knife and shit like that, right? And also the other part, if you'll go too deep and you'll be too invested into the worm who destroys shit, then you will destroy yourself. You'll have so much desires that you will get lost into. And for example, when you'll be the one to smoke cigarettes, and then all the cigarettes will disappear at one point, you'll not even survive due to the fact that you so much desire that shit, that you got so lost into the desire that you cannot even live without it, and you think it's a part of you, right? And it goes beyond cigarettes. It goes like in so many different ways. It goes it concerns your thoughts, it concerns your feelings, it concerns your experiences, it concerns your like wills, wants, friends, needs, and all that different shit. It can go on many different layers and many different levels and shit like that. But the shit that we talk about right now is characteristics, that you have them. You have the angel on your side, and you have the demon on your other side and shit like that, right? And you need to use them both, and you have to balance out them both. And you have the rotators, right, who runs around branches and shit like that and tells you different gossips. But sometimes those gossips may be false, you know, and how I can interpret it in the way that not all the thoughts that you get are actually the ones that are real. So for example, let's say you saw somebody doing something, you know, and you thought like, okay, he did this because of this, right? But actually it's a false way, because he did it due to some other reasons that you're not even aware about. It's like it goes so deep that you didn't even know that this shit can low-key happen, and that was the initiation, that was the reason for him to do this type of action, right? Or that was the reason for him to buy this thing, or that was the reason for him to get involved into this situation, or that was the reason for him to get involved into this relationship and shit like that, or that was the reason for him to cut off this relationship, you know. And you may sit there and be like, oh yeah, that was the reason for him to do that, but actually that's not the reason for him to do that. And that's when your Ratatork, when your Skrull who runs around brings you like false gossips and shit like that, right? Or even like even you, within you, getting all these thoughts like, oh bro, I don't have enough of bitches. Oh bro, my rap is bad. Oh bro, I'm in depressive state. I guess I'm depressive all my life. And you get all these thoughts, but not all of those thoughts are actually real, you know. It's not all of them are true. Some of them you're just overanalyzing, overthinking, and that's how the messages are delivered in a false, not in a false way, but the false messages are being delivered, right? And then you may deliver them, and you may get involved into it, and that's when you have the beef, which is caused by Ratatorsk between the eagle and between the worm. When you think you have to be invested into it, but it was just like some bullshit, somebody was just yapping, some scroll was just yapping, and you're like, bro, I have to be invested into the shit, blah 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 blah, and you get lost into your shit. Yeah, so that's it. So I guess it's enough with the tree and the three different creatures. But I would say, yeah, as I said before, don't get lost in either ones. Just know that you have this type of shit, and just know that you have this type of shit as a myth out there somewhere. You know, it's not some real shit that was somewhere. Like, you actually have a biggest fucking tree and the biggest fucking squirrel running around and telling something to a hawk or an eagle, and then telling something to a worm that destroys shit. You do have it, but it's more like a allegorically, metaphorically, representically, metaphysically speaking, and shit like that, right? So yeah, also I would say don't get lost into all that shit. Don't get lost into your hawk. Don't get lost into your don't get lost into your worm. Balance them out, because sometimes you cannot be all your higher self and just ignore all the shit that you live in, because we do live in a physical world, and you have to do something. If you want to reach something, you have to do something, right? So you cannot just be there like, or I'll just manifest all this money into my hands by just sitting on my couch and like being, I don't fuck with the world, I don't fuck with the world, but I will get money and shit like that. It will not happen. You actually have to stand up, get money, but you have to know what you are doing this for. And I will have a good maybe representation of that, where your eagle, it's as a GPS. It lays out a road for you to walk on. It is you making yourself a goal, a direction where you will go on, right? In a very smart way, and you will know that, okay, I want to be the best rapper in the world. So when I'll just get the biggest fucking paycheck, which will tell the biggest fucking paycheck, I'll not turn, and I will not slow down, and I'll just go further. I will still will go further. Even if the check will be hella expensive and shit like that, right? If I'll get a lot of money and shit like that, I will still go forward. So that's basically the GPS. And you will have the worm who actually stand up and makes you stand up and get those money and shit like that, right? So it would be like your vehicle, your car and shit like that. So the hawk, the eagle, would be the GPS that lays out the road in a very smart way, like a satellite, right? He's beyond this world. He sees everything, how it can go, the different ways it can go, but he needs somebody to move actually to take this road and shit like that. So here you have also within you your eagle, and you have within you also your demon and shit like that, which you also have to involve when you. I'm like I'm trying to put some nice words out, but actually you're doing this every day. You always have your higher self saying some shit like, oh shit, I have to go to school, like, and yeah, some different shit. And you also have your bottom self, your lower self, which is also hella needed, but it may get hella destructive when you give too much power to it and shit like that, right? And the same way goes to the higher one, due to the fact that we live in a physical world and you need to actually move with your vehicle and not just be like, oh yeah, there's Africa and I know I will manifest me into Africa, right? But you will not manifest yourself into Africa. You may manifest Africa and having it as a vision and direction for you to go, but you actually have to take steps towards that and shit like that, right? Yeah, and the Ratatosk who runs around and shit like that, and tells all the different gossips, goes up in there and it tells from the top of your head, goes down and tells your worm to do some type of action, actually delivering the message down there. So that's basically like your thought process and shit like that, right? Ratatosk is your Loki thought process. And it then goes down to your neuron process and your blood processes and shit like that. So that's basically a representation of Ratatosk. Depending on what was seen, initiated, then it has to be, like as I said before, right? You get some representation from the world, you get some type of reflection from it, depending on like so yeah, that's basically the eagle and the worm will be the reflections of it, the reactions to it, which will be initiated then into action where you have the eagle receiving some shit and seeing some shit, and you're like, okay, let me punch him like that. And he saw the picture of him punching or something, like he came with the idea to punch with the right hand first and then with the left hand, right? But actually the worm is the one who actually punches with the right hand and then with the left hand, like that. And Ratatosk was the one who brought all this different shit together for you to actually be the one to connect what was in your mind and to connect what you actually ended up doing as an action. And then you have the role tree, yourself, you as a tree, you are connected to the ground, you're connected to the skies, you're depending on the weather, zodiac, weather, and yeah. And then you have different roles within you that create different type of myths and shit like that you may also hear about through Ratatosk running up and down. So yeah, that's basically it. I hope I made my point clear with me trying to explain the shit. Because okay, yesterday I did the same video about the same topic, but then when I was trying to like put it all together, I low-key deleted it and I was like, shit, I have to do the same shit again. And lucky for me, when I do the same shit again, it's like, you know, I already have something that I said and I want to say it again, but I have to use the flow that I'm in right now for, and also put the shit in, and sometimes it get hella tricky and shit like that, right? So some shit, yeah. Some shit I may pre-jump, some shit I may pre-judge, some shit I may like pre-experience, and then like, okay, let me put this here, let me put this here. So it's like okay, I'm using the flow for my words, but on the other side, I'm still trying to put some like past examples, past experiences into it too, right? So the stuff that happened back then. So not fresh waters. I'm trying to put not fresh waters into the already fresh waters and shit like that, and then you have this mixture coming out. So yeah, that's it. Have fun, and I don't know, if you read books or mythologies, and go through the different lenses of your own self, right? The different chakras. Try to take one image and just look at it from different ways. I gave a girl's example because it kind of was easier for me to explain it, because you cannot explain a marker you can explain marker in a sexual way, but it's already on you. That's already on you. Have fun.